Okay, here we go. Welcome to the channel. I'm a former D1 athlete turned performance coach after my track career was cut short by ulcerative colitis, a life-changing diagnosis that forced me to rethink everything. What I realized is that although I'm not able to compete anymore, I want to help others become the strongest, fastest, and most explosive versions of themselves, physically and mentally. That's where I started this channel to share the training methods, mindset shifts, and movement techniques I've developed through the year. So we've got a fun stream planned for you here today. We're going to first start off with football speed versus track speed, which is always a big topic. And we'll go over why someone like a Tyreek Hill was able to beat a bunch of people who get paid to sprint, professionals. So I didn't do. That's okay. Okay, here we go. Tyreek Hill versus Noah Lyles' brother. Why he just changed the sprint game. Let's talk. Okay, so we're about to watch the difference between NFL speed, and when we say NFL speed, I mean this is top of the line NFL speed versus excellent professional track athletes. Flow track, let's mute that so we don't get demonetized here. Now, I want to say Tyreek Hill is in lane. Let me see here. The all white? Is that right? I'm scrubbing to see which lane he's in. You know, let's watch it and see how it goes. I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't even know Noah Lyles had a brother. But in this race, Tyreek Hill ran 10:01. Noah Lyles' brother ran 10:2, which are great times. Obviously, it is Noah Lyles' younger brother. And this is stemming off the back of, Tyreek Hill calling out Noah Lyles accepting and then having to step out for whatever reason. So Joe Lyles, that's right, 10:10, I think it's 10:09 technically, and 10:20, 10:20 around there. Let's watch it again. So we know he's in the all white here. I don't know what lane Noah Lyles' brother was. Let's see what this guy has to say about this.
Miami Dolphins had decided back in April that they're moving on from cornerback Jalen Ramsey. And this thing was clear. It was obvious. It's over. Ramsey has tweeted his farewells. The Dolphins have no leverage.
Yeah, talk about nothing but football. So we're going back here. That's right. Noah Lyles, Tyreek Hill's time was 10:10. Noah Lyles' younger brother's time was 10:25. He placed 5th. We know Tyreek Hill is in the white. And let's see what 5th place was. Now, this guy in the in the black in lane 2. I think he won. Let's see. Oh, no, I'm wrong. The guy in lane 4. This was a tight race. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe he's in the red there, or he's in the green. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think he's in the red. Must be Noah Lyle's brother. Tight race. Let's watch it back. I wonder what the winner's time was here. Let's see if we can't. Okay. So look at how close his hands are in lane 2. I've not seen that before. He gets a great start, so everyone else's hands are nice, wide, bridged. They're putting, look at all these guys' shoulders sitting over their hands, over their hands, over their hands, over their hands, over their hands. They're not sitting back in the blocks. They're ready to go as soon as the gun goes off. Now you watch these guys in the back here, you're wondering what they're up to. These blocks are most likely not the best blocks in the world, so oftentimes you'll have someone stand behind you on top of the block so they don't slide when you decide to go. Everybody's got a fairly fast reaction there. Look at the arm separation of all these guys. That back arm is driving back. The forward arm is punching forward. We got a little toe drag here in lane 5, 2, 3, 4, 5 there. Coaches have different opinions about toe drags or not to toe drag. I personally don't care. Now look how patient they all are. They're still driving. They're still pushing. They're running against the normal way of the track. They must have had a headwind, so they flip the race around so that they can run in the tailwind. Look at them push, push, push. Look at lane 4. This is our winner here. He's taking, his power when he puts his foot into the track is just shooting him forward. It's like he's jumping forward. Jump. Look at that. Stride length. Everything's staying straight. Foot not quite cycled up to the butt. Low heel recovery. Boom, 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 boom. Tyreek Hill's doing great as well. Oh, yes, Adidas. That's got to be Noah Lyle's brother in the red there. What are those guys in the outside doing? So look at lane 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the all black there. He's got his eyes straight down, as well as lane 8, eyes straight down. Now you come to look at lane 6, lane 5, Noah Lyle's brother, lane 4, our winner, lane 3, Tyreek Hill. His eyes are actually kind of down. Lane 2, everyone else's eyes are not looking straight down. They're looking through the brow, down the track, not down at the track, looking where they want to go. And that's a big deal. So they're driving. I'm going to call that 10 meters to the number here. So Noah Lyle's brother looks like he's possibly a bit taller than everyone. So he might be a stronger 200 guy. And let's see. So let's watch. Boom, boom, drive, drive, drive. Now Tyreek Hill transitioned a bit quicker than he's actually in the lead here. And that's not so surprising, right? A football guy, great for 10, 20, 30, 40 meters. It's their bread and butter. It's what they do on the field. Football and track are siblings, right? Where like track and basketball may be cousins. Football and track are siblings. They utilize very similar energy systems. If you think about it, especially for someone like Tyreek Hill, he runs a route, he goes back, he waits a minute. What's on the shot clock? 35 seconds. So he's got 35 seconds. Maybe he sits out for the next play, comes back in at about, I don't know, with a minute and a half rest, has to do it again. Track is very similar. You get much longer rest in between. So let's say he wanted to double for the 200. In between the 100, he'd have an hour before the 200, right? So you're really utilizing the same energy systems, and you have to have the same qualities to be explosive and powerful, quick twitch. In football, it's going to translate so well to track. And you compare it to something like basketball, where sure, it helps to be explosive and fast, but the game is 48 minutes, 40 minutes. So in nonstop clock, I mean, you could get timeouts, you get out of bounds, those kind of things, but the clock doesn't really, there's not a 4-minute break, a 5-minute break in between basketball players. So plays. So you begin to work different energy systems. And as a result of that, it's not the best for sprinting. It's very good for jumping. But something like football is directly related to track, which is why it's not so surprising why someone like Tyreek Hill, who I think in high school ran 10-1, 10-2, somewhere around there, 20 point. I mean, sure, he's older than Noah Lyle's brother, but he never stopped working in terms of being on the football field, working on his explosiveness and his speed. And that kind of thing doesn't really leave you that quickly. It leaves faster than, let's say, your conditioning or your strength, but he's not that old. So not so surprising that he ran as fast as he did. He's one of those kids who, excuse me, I mean, I know he's a man, but he was one of the kids when he was a kid who, I'm assuming, I don't know. You have those kids who everybody wants to race them because no one can beat them. And take a ISO speed, for example. If you're interested in that, stay tuned. We got some ISO speed stuff coming up, but everybody wants to race them. You're in third grade and the sixth graders want to race you because you're so fast. You're in sixth grade and the eighth graders want to race you. You're a freshman in high school and you're beating the seniors, this kind of thing. So you've always had that thing, whatever that thing is, for speed, for quickness. If I had to guess, Tyreek Hill is one of those people. So not so surprising that he's able to compete with professional track athletes and any of the fast people who are also decent at football. They're most likely going to choose football, right? Probably our fastest talent is in football. I don't know if you saw DK Metcalf, who's huge. He ran like a 10-3, which is extremely impressive, but that's where the money is. So you're not going to necessarily waste your time in track where you could be a gold medalist and still have to have a second job if you could just go play football and get paid. Some people just love track and that's dope. I also obviously love track, so that's great. But Tyreek Hill chose his path and arguably the better path to create wealth compared to track. But again, I'm just want to touch on the point that he's always been fast, so it's not going to be slow. He ran 10-2 in high school, 10-1 in high school. (10-1-9) in high school, which is like, stupid fast. So it's not just going to go away because he's been playing in the league. Okay, let's keep going. So if you notice the guy that, we'll go back here. Okay. Fair start by everyone. Again, pay attention to the separation of the arms here. All those arms swinging back, the forward arm swinging forward, obviously. Staying patient in the drive phase, really pushing, push, 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 push. Now let's see who pops up first. They're beginning to transition, or not really, not necessarily. Boom. Tyreek Hill's kind of standing up now. And again, look at where he is. He's in the lead, but he's standing up at probably 15 meters. I think this blue diamond here is 20 meters. He's kind of up lane 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8's kind of up. 7's kind of up. 6 is kind of up. 5, which is Noah Lyle's brother, is still driving a little bit. 4, which is our winner, he's still driving a little bit. And 2 we have here, who's still driving a little bit, but again, look at his eyes. Look at his eyes looking straight down at the track. No bueno. And so this is going to impact the race in the later stages, as we'll see here. So boom. So lane 4 again here is kind of just stood up now. He's the last one to stand up, and he was patient in his drive phase. And let's watch what happens. Again, Tyreek Hill in the lead. Not surprising. Football players, bread and butter here is going to be about 40. Boom. But now here they come, right? Lane 2 is starting to catch him a little bit here. It's actually a nice transition by lane 2. I know he was looking down at the track, but and then here comes our race winner in the off yellow, pale yellow and blue shorts. And you see Noah Lyle's brother here, not in a good position. He really got left almost immediately, to be honest. Again, I'm wondering what his bread and butter races are. I would have to guess that it might be the 200, just because he's a bit taller than everyone else, and that matters as far as what races you do better in than others. So let's see. Not a horror, by himself, right? It's a 10-2, which is respectable. But he's look at his. We're talking about the guy in the red here. Just Joseph Lyles. How do you say that? I don't know. Watch his left leg coming off the pedals of the blocks. Okay, that's not bad. Boom, boom. But then look at how he cycles through almost. Boom. Cycles through. So now he's already, that's where he gets left behind, right? 5 steps in compared to lane 4, who's next to him. Let's watch again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom. Oh, not yet. Okay, now, like about 7 steps in, about 10 meters in, he's starting to get left because he was cycling out of the blocks, out of his drive phase, wasn't patient. Again, he's a bit taller. He may have panicked. He may have saw people ahead of him. Tyreek Hill in the lead. But here they come. Now, the reason they're able to catch him is because of how patient they were back here. Lane 2 and lane 4 were the last ones to come out of their drive phase. Everyone's up. Lane 2, lane 4, still driving. Very patient. They're behind, but not panicked at all, right? I mean, they may be panicked, but they're not showing it. Tyreek Hill still in the lead here. What is this, 40? And then here comes lane 2, and here comes lane 4. And lane 4 still behind. I can't tell because of the angle. But you got Noah Lyle's brother here way behind. Those big looping strides, I bet you, again, he's probably a 200, maybe 400 guy. But now they're just floating on it, on Tyreek. Boom. And look at how relaxed lane 4 is. Nice open stride. He's just floating on top of the track, right? He's not sinking back down into the track. And you see Tyreek losing his steam a little bit. Again, football player, not meant to go 100 meters every play. Whereas I'm assuming the guy in lane 4 here is just a track guy. He might be a football guy too. I don't know, but he's more trained. He was patient in his drive phase. It's paying off. Not now, but now. Starting to pay off. Patience in the drive phase means you accelerate later into the race, which means you decelerate later. Whereas I would reckon like about here, what is this? Maybe 60 meters down the track, maybe 70 meters down the track. Tyreek Hill starting to decelerate. Wasn't as patient in his drive phase. Also, football player, not meant for the 100 meters necessarily. I know he ran 10.0, which is faster than I've ever run. So, but not meant for the 100 meters. The guy in lane 4, staying open, staying tall, turnover. Tyreek Hill turnover starting to, they're fairly similar in turnover. I think the guy in lane 4 stride was a little bit longer. He remained a little bit taller. That's why he was able to, and he was also patient in his drive phase, which is why he was able to squeak out this win. Let's go ahead and watch it full speed one time. Yeah, I don't think that guy in lane 4 actually had the best start as he would like. Look, maybe he did. I don't know, but he doesn't really get going until like 20. He doesn't really get going, or maybe it's just because Tyreek Hill got such a great start that it made him look like he wasn't I mean, I know he was moving fast. Obviously, he ran faster than 10.0. So, but like right now is when he starts to go. They're not even at 20 yet. Those blue diamonds right there, I think, are 20. And then he just accelerates better. So now they're up tall, right? Transition phase over. Now it's acceleration phase, and he just accelerates better. All the way through the line. One more time. Great. So what did we learn? Why was Tyreek Hill able to beat professional track runners? Well, he was born with it. That's my answer. Is he was born with it, which is very possible, especially for the 100 meters sake. I often compare the 100 to height. Like being good in the 100 is being born with that type of speed is something that you're born with. Just like height is something that obviously you go through growth spurts, and then you're LeBron James, you're 6'8". He was just born with those genes, and he did what he needed to get to that level. And the 100 meters is very similar. You're born with that kind of speed that Tyreek Hill has. Speaking of born with it, let's go to something very fun, which I'm sorry took so long to get here, but we have IShowSpeed versus Ashton Hall. So, he obviously beat Ashton Hall 4 times. Spoiler alert, he beat him 4 for 4 times in a row. And let's talk about what makes speed so fast. And spoiler alert, he also was born with it. He may not have been born with it the way that Tyreek Hill is born with it. I don't think he would run a 10.1, 10.0 necessarily. If I had to guess, he's probably closer to 1080, 10, I'd be, 1070. I don't know, 1080. I'd be impressed if he ran 1080. But that's without any training. He's obviously one of the largest streamers in the world, so he probably doesn't have much time to be training for track. But another example of just born with it. Let's see. And for anyone in the chat, I got a question for you, which is, what do you think? Are you able to beat Isho Speed or Ashton Hall? That's my question. Okay, we can play this with sound because.
I was here, man.
Oh, yes. Okay. Something to say about that fall is that's when your body is moving, when your brain's moving faster than your body is able to. I actually had an athlete who fell just like this in the 100-meter, about 50 meters down the track. He was our anchor leg, and so we put him out there, so he had a good lead, and he felt those other teams coming up to catch him, and his brain was moving faster than his body could, than his legs could, and boom, down he goes, fell. To be honest, it was hilarious, and at the same time, a great teaching moment for him about what we needed to do in practice and how he could take things a bit more serious. So that didn't happen again. Let's see.
Fuck this nigga. I'm out. Leave. Fuck out of here. Run it back. What I say? What I say? Run it back. What I say?
Run it back. Instantly wants to run it back.
Say I was here, man.
What can we say about their... First of all, they're barefoot.
I was here, man.
Barefoot in the track. I mean, in the grass, excuse me. Now, just, I mean, based off the way they're built, Speed's going to win, is my first thought. I don't know what Ashton Hall's doing here in this starting position. Looks like I'm a champ, but yeah. All right, let's go. Oh, was that a false start?
Hey, Chad, if you was here, say I was here, man.
If it wasn't a false start, it was an excellent start. It was damn close. Let's slow it down. Oh, we could really. I want to hear the set go in slow mo. Gotta watch that fall in slow mo too. Oh, I think that may have been a false start. I mean, one thing they're both doing well is how they're using their arms. Speed talking shit while he's running, and then you see him, he just loses it. That's so good. Yeah, what happened? Why would he fall? Well, let's look at his knees really fast. Good drive phase. What he can't do is stand up and go. He can drive. He's powerful. So that makes sense. The drive phase is about power. But when you have to stand up and go, it's a bit different. It's really where speed training, track training comes in place. Now, look at his knees. They never really come up. And now let's compare this. Look at Speed's knees. Look how much higher they're coming up. Right now, he's just gloating. Gliding, gloating, gliding. So that's where he went wrong. He didn't pick his knees up. Now this is the second race. Let's watch regular speed. False start again. 2 in a row. Look at his arms too.
Ready, set, go. It's too slow. Too slow. It's too slow. Too slow. Too slow.
Speed almost fell right there, low key. Let's go ahead and slow this down. Okay. Those arms are kind of swinging side to side there. That's what happens when you have all that muscle getting in the way. And it's just over after the start. He just can't, like, the start is decent for both of them. He just can't keep up with him after the start. Okay, they've changed terrain. Try to see what happens. Excuse me, sorry. I thought I changed. I did change it to normal.
Up and like the stream, man. Ready, set, go.
That was a for sure false start. Oh, that's why they slow mode it. Okay, same story. Same story. After the dry phase, speed is unbeatable in comparison to Ashton Hall. Big false start. He also isn't running in a straight line. Look at where his shoulders are angled. Look at where Speed's shoulders are angled to begin. And then you start following the curve of this road. And now you have to straighten up. That's working against you for sure. I mean, I appreciate that they don't have shoes on. Look at this dorsiflexion by Speed. Ashton Hall, also dorsiflexion. Look at the stiffness in the ankles as they hit the... Now, this is the difference between these two. Look at the stiffness in their ankles as they hit. Well, first of all, Ashton Hall is probably 60, 80 pounds heavier than Speed. So when his foot hits that ground, look at how flat that foot is. It collapses. It's soft. Now look at Speed's foot, right? Striking ball of his foot. He hits, that heel's still up, and he's instantly off that foot. That's the difference between those two. Now let's go to this last race here. There was some controversy, blah, blah, blah. He false started.
I'm dead ass sick of this nigga. Ready, set, go.
Okay. Even start.
Bye.
It's over. It's a wrap. Let's play it back one more time, slow, and we're going to look at this concept of ankle stiffness once again. Very appreciative that they did this barefoot on concrete. Now, actually, this brings up a point of, like, the grass is going to be the worst surface that you can use to sprint fast. Concrete is going to be the best surface. Is going to be better than grass because it's harder. So your energy gets returned more efficiently. It doesn't get lost in the surface that you're running on. Once again, Speed's foot hits. He's off. He's off. He's off. Now Ashton Hall, flat foot when it hits. Flat foot when it hits. And now you see that flat foot as he's slowing down. So that is Speed versus Hall. So I Show Speed may not be a sprinter, but he is definitely born with something, that thing that makes him fast. So that's great. So, you know, you're on the stream and you're wondering who the hell I am to be able to coach sprinting. I explained a little bit of my story, which is that I was a excellent sprinter jumper and got a D1 scholarship. Found out I had autoimmune disease called ulcerative colitis. Brought my journey to an end, and so now here I am helping all of you get faster, stronger, better, more explosive in sprinting and jumping. And I got my health under control now, and I am also still able to train. So I look forward to bringing some of my training videos to you. However, in the meantime, we are going to do what I love the most, which is some technical form breakdown from one of my own athletes. So, you know, I have an athlete who I helped dropped his time by over a second. So let's get into that. So I helped this athlete drop his time by over a second in the 100 meters, not just by fixing his form, but by reprogramming his brain how to process speed. Let's go into how I did that, why I did that. You know, most athletes don't train to run fast. They train to run long. They train to run strong sometimes, but they don't understand the concept of programming your brain for speed. The thing about speed is you can't think your way to speed. You just have to be programmed for it, like we saw with Tyreek Hill, like we saw with ISO Speed. So let's go to my okay. So this is my athlete who came to me with a time of 12:05, and it had been a journey for him to figure out kind of sprinting on his own. He, like many people, he's in lane 8. Wait. 6, 7. He's in lane 8 there in the green top. And this is this is maybe after our first week of training. So this may have been a 12:3, a 12, I don't know. But before this, his best time was a 12:05. And he just didn't quite know how to train, didn't have the strength or the knowledge. Of course, that's normal. But he really dedicated, really intelligent young man. And anything I threw at him, he absorbed, and that's how he was able to get his time down to 11:3. And I'll show you exactly what we did to not only improve his form, but to improve the way his body responded, the way his brain responded to speed, so that it was automatic. He didn't have to think about it. You can't think your way to running fast. You have to just be programmed to run fast. So let's watch this 12:05. Again, he's in lane 8 in the green. A little bit out of focus. That's okay. We'll watch it all the way through. We'll analyze it like normal, and I'll go over how to program your brain to be fast. So, okay, let's do that. Oh boy, well, look at that start. He's all over the lane. Man, did he win this race? Maybe. Okay, so that's him. We're gonna break this race down. Look at that. Look at the start. The start is at least, I mean, geez, that's 0.3 right there to fix this start. Again, we're looking at lane 8, green, top white undersleeves. Look at this start. Okay. Oh, what happened? Whoa, he's almost out of his lane. Now, can anyone tell me why he's almost out of his lane as though he doesn't know where his lane is? If you know, drop a comment about what mistakes, plural, he made that put him in this position to be all the way over here in his lane rather than being straight down the middle. If you want to run in this fast, then you have to run in a straight line. So there are a few key mistakes he made in the beginning of his race here that put him on the outside lane of his line for consecutive steps. Then he starts to navigate himself back into the middle of his lane. So let's go over why that may have come about for him. So first things first, where are his eyes? They're looking straight down. So how can you know where you're going if your eyes are looking straight down? Not only that, it's going to put you in a bad position as though you're falling into the track when our eyes are straight down at the track. We should instead be looking through our brow, 10 meters ahead. The gun goes up, set, my head is relaxed, go, my eyes look up 10 meters ahead and they stay there. Now that's mistake number one. Mistake number two by my young friend is look at that step to the, he runs straight and then he takes a step over here. So now straight, takes a step over there to the other side. And now he's just drifting. There's another side step. So instead of running straight, he's stepping out to the side. One way to fix that is to practice your block starts on the line rather than in the lane. You want to split the lanes and be on the line. So first of all, it's a bad habit to stare straight down, but even if you have that habit, you can see that straight line and you know when you're starting to shift. But that's not an excuse to still be looking down. You should still be looking through the brow of your eye. So not horrible. We have to work on some rotational strength. He's a bit stiff here. Like if you look at, what lane is that? Third lane, he's not quite as stiff. He's overstriding a bit. Makes me wonder if he's kind of a 400, 800 guy, but I'm talking about lane 3 now. By the way, this athlete is a 400 runner, but one of his limiting factors to reaching the 400 time that he wanted, which we were able to get to, I'll do a different video about that, was his speed. He wasn't fast enough over 200 meters in order to run the desired 400 time. So first things first was to get his 200 time down, and to get the 200 time down, you got to do the 100. So that's what this is. I think that might be his sister there in the pink hoodie cheering him on. Okay. So that's my athlete. Let's go over exactly what I did to be able to improve his speed and reprogram his mind for what speed truly meant. So, you've really got three levels of the way that your brain operates. Level 1 is the analytical brain. It's the thinking brain. So if you catch yourself thinking while you're running, then you're in the analytical brain. The problem with the analytical brain is it runs 20 times slower than when you learn how to program your brain for speed. So, this is where most athletes live, trying to think fast instead of train fast. The solution is to slow down a bit, introduce intentional movement and cues that will bring your awareness to what you're doing. If you're sprinting in your head, you're already losing to someone who is sprinting in their body. Kind of corny. So you want to train your brain first. Speed is a software, not a hardware. Okay. Oh, okay. So why might someone be in their analytical thinking brain? Well, you're just learning a technique. You haven't done enough reps, so you're trying to cue yourself into the correct technique while sprinting. This is a huge mistake because again, it's 20 times slower than when you don't think. So this is what happens when you learn a new technique, maybe a new way to do your blocks. Maybe you understand what the acceleration phase is, but and then you try it in a race and your time is slower. Well, it's not because the technique doesn't work. Well, it's possible if you don't have a coach that knows what they're doing. It's possible, but what's probably more true is that you are thinking about doing the technique just because, again, you don't have the reps to have it programmed. So, you're addicted to running correct rather than letting it flow. What I like to say is there's differences between running fast and racing. And when you're thinking, you're trying to run fast, but when you're racing, you're just letting it flow and you're stepping up to what the competition around you is doing. I have this parallel where, I've run track for so long that I know how to race efficiently and fairly well. However, I recently picked up sim racing on a racing wheel and racing cars, and I do great in practice. But when I get into the race, I don't quite know how to race. So this cued me in to help me understand what my athletes were going through whenever they were able to train well but not race well. So once you learn how to move on from this analytical thinking phase, you're going to free up mental space and focus on execution, not instructions. You'll learn how to race, not run. You'll begin to access your own rhythm. Everyone's running style is different. I'm sure you've seen it. You'll feel more fluid and less force. I know you've also seen the professionals or your favorite runners where they look like they're not trying. Obviously, they are trying. They're on the world stage, speaking about like Usain Bolt, speaking about a Noah Lyles, Carl Lewis, whoever you want to name. They're just flowing through the motion. They make it look easy, but that's only because they put in so many reps with the correct form that their brain is literally programmed to only know how to do one thing, which is to run fast. And they don't have to think about anything. So here's an actionable exit strategy to get you out of the thinking brain. Step one is visualization. You do your cues and your mental rehearsal before your reps, before your meet. With visualization, you want to try to make it as realistic as possible. You should put yourself in the race, in the meet, and go over exactly what you're supposed to do out of your drive phase, transition, acceleration, and maintenance phase. And so another way to exit out of this is through quiet reps. You can try 1 to 2 reps at a slower speed where you intentionally just are working on flow rather than speed. And then you can always debrief between sets, write or voice note what you felt, not during, but after you're done. So that way you feel free to just run when you're running. I actually saw this in the most recent Olympics with some of the field events. They would complete a jump in, let's say, the high jump, walk back to their tent or their personal bag and write down, journal some things about what they felt. So then you move on. I said there was 3 levels to programming your mind for speed. So we've been able to implement some of the tips I've shared for level 1, which may take some time. It won't happen right away. But once we move into level 2, we're now in the emotional brain. And the good thing about the emotional brain is it's much faster than the analytical brain. However, it's still 4 times slower than the programmed brain. So what is the emotional brain? I don't know if I can't say we've all been there, but a lot of us have been there where you're triggered by nerves or ego or excitement. I personally used a lot of anger as an emotional brain that put me in the right mindset for running fast, jumping far. Some athletes love to train on emotion. They get themselves hyped up. You look at a Michael Jordan or a Kobe Bryant, where it just takes one word to get them put in that mode. These kind of athletes, they are able to use emotional surges for good, use their breath, use their rhythm, use their posture. So one of the things about the emotional brain is that it has its benefits and it has its weaknesses. The emotional brain is also in control of fear, of nerves, anxiety, those kind of things. So you can get trapped in your emotional brain, and it leads you the other way. And so you're not as in control of your emotional brain as you think you are. I don't know how many of you have rituals out there, but almost all of us do have rituals. And if that gets messed up, then you get into your negative emotional brain, and then it's much harder to perform in that motion. So, don't mistake intensity for efficiency. Your performance can vary with your mood. That's one of the negative things about the emotional brain. And you can't chase hype days instead of program days, because, what happens is, let's say you go through a breakup and you're super motivated to kick ass, essentially, right? Which has happened to myself, which has happened to my athletes. You're in the gym, you're putting in work, or not even a breakup. We'll say someone told you what you can and can't do. A coach telling you, like, yeah, you can't do that. And then you're like, oh yeah, I'll show you, right? So you get in those mode, but then what happens is, after 2 months, it's really hard to keep that emotion level high and or not let it teeter over to negative emotion. So you do want to learn how to move on from this. However, in the meantime, while you're learning how to program speed, you can use emotions for good. We're looking at the example of ISO Speed versus Ashton Hall. You're gonna have some excitement, some shit talking, where that's gonna bring your emotions up, and you're just gonna go. However, what you want to do is actually remain consistent for long periods of time, rather than relying on emotional hot one day, cold the next day. You want to work on your emotional regulation. So doesn't matter what happens throughout the day, when you show up for work, when you show up for practice, you're able to tap into your programmed brain, even on bad days. Training becomes about the process of putting in work rather than about feelings. So, hype fades, programming lasts. So here's what you can do to move on to the programmed brain, which is you show up every day, you put in work no matter how you're feeling. This is often easier by setting clear goals. You show up, you use your visualization and emotion combined. So when you're doing your visualization, you should be pairing that with the emotion of excitement. Nerves are fine, not fear, not anxiety. So actually, when I do my visualization, I know I'm doing it correctly when I actually get goosebumps and feel some sort of excitement and nerves, because I know that I put myself in that moment in time that I'm working towards. So you can always work on your breath work as well to help stabilize yourself, help ground yourself, and work on your negative and positive emotions. So the great thing about being able to visualize with emotions is that your brain, that's how you begin to program your brain. Your brain can't tell the difference between when you visualize something thoroughly in depth, meaning the weather, the track, the sun or the clouds or the rain, the stands, where the coach will be, where mom and dad will be, where brother, sister will be in the stands. And then you're able to feel the emotion and work through the process of what you're supposed to do in that race, in that jump, in that throw. Connecting those, visualizing with emotion is what begins to program your brain. So you definitely want to work on that, because the next level in this system is the programmed brain that runs 20 times faster than the analytical brain, and 4 times faster than the emotional brain. Now, what do you mean by programmed brain? This is where you live when you're brushing your teeth before work or before school, and you're just operating. You're not thinking while you're doing it because you've done it so many times. This is where, if you're able to drive, when you're driving and you reach your destination, but you don't remember the route you took or the journey it took to get there because you were busy going over what your day is supposed to look like or what happened over your day, and you're headed home from work. Next thing you know, you're home. You're headed home from school. Next thing you know, you're home. Your programming took over as far as your driving is concerned. This is exactly what you want when you're sprinting. I tell the hundreds all out sprint. You can program yourself for the correct phases. The 200 is also pretty much an all-out sprint. Well, 200 and 400, but the 400, when you have the correct programming, you'll be able to tell on the backstretch if you're pressing the gas way too hard by trying to catch someone who's ahead of you, or you're going way too slow because people around you are running too slow. This is when your programming kicks in and you say, I'm not on pace for whatever reason. I need to slow down. I need to speed up. You're not really trying to slow down on the 400, but I think you get the idea. So you don't work into your programmed brain by just trying harder. You get faster by showing your brain what speed feels like. So athletes who trust the work, who use reps in rhythm, who can rewire their beliefs, are the ones that are working in their programmed brain. This isn't just about talent now. This is about a trained nervous system. And changing your beliefs is one of the hardest things, and yet will provide the greatest return for you as you work on your speed. And how do you change your beliefs about what is possible, about what speed means? It's all about putting in the high quality reps and working towards this level of mastery where sprinting feels natural, fast, and automatic. You're able to trust your training on race day. You have to trust that you put in all the work necessary in order to reach whatever your goals are. And this is what I mean about changing your beliefs. You have to believe that it's almost impossible to not hit your goal based on how you trained. So, the way that you're able to implement this is to have very, very clear goals. And when I say clear goals, I mean something like, I want to run a 10:32 in the 100, not like, I want to go sub 11. That's not a clear goal. So you want clear goals. You want to make sure that your reps in practice are matching the intensity and speed of your goals. You want to own your own story. So that means when you visualize, you're visualizing the story you want to tell on race day. And of course, there's no way around it besides doing the work. So, I did a lot of talking about how to move through those levels. Let's look at how I programmed my athlete to go from 12.5 to 11.3. So when we discuss programming, these are all his races: 400, another 100. So here we go. One of my favorite drills to work on programming for this young man is, you see these cones here at, oops, did I just Sorry. So you have a cone here at 10, a cone here at 20. You can't see it, but there is a cone here at 30. So we just are going to repeat reps over short distances with a ton of rest that put you in the position of speed. So, maybe he's not able to run a 11:30 over 100 meters right away, but can he get from 0 to 10 in 11:30 speed? Can he get from 0 to 20 in 11:30 speed? And then you build onto it and build onto it. You want him to, I was working for him to have his default idea of what speed is to be defaulted to the sub 12 region. And the way that you get there is by running short reps really fast with a ton of rest. And then you do it over, and then you do it over, and then you do it over. So that's what this workout is. Now, actually, I'm not sure what distance he's going to, but I know in this workout, he did run out of blocks 3 times 10, 3 times 20, 3 times 30, 3 times 40, got a nice break, 3 times 50, 3 times 60. Much better start. Look at that start. So we got to teach him a little bit of how to relax. But you remember the first start we worked on where he was all over the place? What did we do to change that? Well, just what I told you. He did enough reps of this particular workout in blocks where I was reinforcing, keep your eyes up, reinforcing, push the track behind you in drive phase, reinforcing the arm separation during the start. And so when he lined up to do it in his 11:34 race, it was easy work. And I'll show you that race in a second. Look how much better this start looks compared to the one that we looked at before. So this is an 11:30 guy. We still have a lot of work to do. He's a sophomore. It's very good, good times for him. And again, his best race actually is the 400. So we'll try to watch one more of these. Sorry, I'm working on getting a faster computer here. So I'll go ahead and we'll just watch this last. Where are you? I believe this is it. Yeah, this is it. Look at him. He's looking a little nervous. So he's in lane 3. So this is his 11:34 race, I believe. This is after months of programming. And obviously, again, the idea here is to get his 100 quicker so that his 200 becomes quicker so that we can piece together a fast 400 for him, because his limiting factor was his idea of speed. He was strong. He had good conditioning, but his body had no idea what it was like to run fast. And so we changed that for him in various ways. So let's watch this race. Great drive phase. Look at the patience in his drive phase once again. And then he accelerates for the W. Now my favorite part is yet to come up. Watch this. No. 11:36. Excuse me. I said 34. Watch this. There we go. That's the look of someone who's programmed to run fast. Hype himself up. Let's get it. All the congratulations. There we go. Let's break this down. I don't want to try to go up in quality. I feel like it's going to slow us down even more than we already are. Speaking of programming, my computer needs to work on its program speed. Okay. It's arm separation from the beginning, straight line, eyes looking through the brow, drive for 10. Look at the guy next to him. He's all over the place. Why? Well, any guesses as to why the guy next to him is all over the place with his running? Look at where he's looking. Look at the difference in my athlete here in lane 3. Straight line, eyes looking 10 meters down the track through his brow. In lane 4, looking straight down. And as a result, look at him. He's, boom, 1 foot in my athlete's lane. Now, 3 consecutive steps in the lane next to you is a DQ. We got one on the, okay. Oh, close. Now, you know, these are high school kids. Of course, I'm not over here petitioning like a DQ against this kid. That would not be cool. You just kind of want everyone to do their best. But that's what happens when you look straight down. Now we were on our acceleration phase. We worked on all of this. We programmed all of this. And he didn't panic. He wasn't ahead. The guy next to him who was looking down is ahead. Really important. No panic here from my athlete. He's just going to stay real, especially because he's a 400 guy. He knows he's going to finish strong. Just keep your arm swinging. Keep your turnover fast. Boomba. That's what's up. 11:36. 10. We'll get him to 10 next year. One more time, full speed. There we go. So now we know the real secret to speed is not necessarily only how you train your body, but it's how you train your mind as well. So go ahead and leave a comment about which level you are stuck in. Are you an analytical person? Are you always thinking and you find out that you wind up running slower because you're thinking too much? Are you someone who operates on emotion, which is much better, but you find out when you can't get your emotions in the right place, you don't perform as well? Or are you in your computer mode? Are you programmed for speed? So just to let you all know as well, we break stuff like this down. I'm on a mission to break stuff like this down every week. So I will be here next week. Thursday, I'm planning my next live around this same time, 5 p.m. And we have some fun stuff planned for you. Again, we'll work on like how to set goals so that your programming really makes sense. And that's coming in the work, maybe Thursday, maybe Sunday as well. But, you know, other than that, I appreciate y'all being here if you showed up. And if not, hopefully I can catch you on the next one. I'll cut some of this up for clips and we'll find our way here again on Thursday at 5. See you then. See you there. Till then, wheels up. Stay fast. One viewer shout you out. Who is this? Probably like my mom or something.